my daughter-in-law, looked through the glass, and her eyes showed horror. And she said, "Nana, what's happened to you?" And I said, I've been raped.
The general public has a perception in their mind of what a quote-unquote rape victim looks like, and there is no such picture. We expect women to be crying, hysterical, all over the place, falling apart. Some are, but most aren't.
The night that he raped me, they fixed his drinks and we went for a walk on the beach. That's where my memory starts going in and out.
In a drug-facilitated sexual assault, the victim herself isn't sure if she was really raped. So there's a lot of disbelief from the victim, let alone that someone else will believe her.
Once I realized that I had been raped, I didn't want to go to the police because I didn't think I was strong enough.
I've heard many law enforcement officers tell the victim, well, when you remember more, give me a call. And it's kind of the implication that nothing's going to happen until they remember more. And the reality is they're not going to remember more. And the case needs to be investigated on its other merits.
The initial contact with the first responder can greatly influence whether or not they decide to go on with other steps of the criminal justice process. And I can't think of anything more horrible than going through an experience like rape or sexual assault, and then the people you tell don't believe you. I can tell you from firsthand experience. I was raped 10 years ago.
If they come across thinking that you don't care or you don't believe them, they're going to shut down right away.
When the police came, they right away were very kind and compassionate and empathetic. He was telling me, you did nothing wrong. That was, it was a very brave thing of you to call the police.
The truth is law enforcement officers, as first responders, do have to ask victims tough questions. Tell the victim that if they need to know why they're asking a question, it's okay to ask that.
I think that is the greatest thing they did, because at the time you're totally out of control after what has just happened to you.
As they start to tell the account of the assault, they're going to remember additional pieces of it. Doesn't mean they're making it up. It's a real normal part of the trauma process.
If you're compassionate with your interview and allow the victim to tell you what happened in her own way and in her own time, you'll obtain a lot more information. It'll come through that you're there, you want to be there, and you want to get this person through that.
This crime was more than a sexual crime. Christopher was robbed of his innocence.
Christopher's offender was the athletic director at the school.
He was his best friend's dad. He was also Christopher's science teacher.
This coach stole my son. We all trusted him. Why couldn't we see it happening? Officer Rick Nelson was the first officer from the Sheriff's Department to arrive at my home. It calmed me a lot by the way he talked with me. I really felt like I could trust him as a man, not just as an officer, but as a man. That meant a lot to me.
I really can't put my finger on anything that I actually may have told them other than just being compassionate to them, listening to what they had to say, and then tell them what we were going to do. 112, 107.
Rick Nelson was incredible. He absolutely had a mess on his hands when he walked into the door. He had a very angry father, had a very upset mother, had a very upset sibling, me, to deal with. And every last one of us have different emotions.
And he was able to help us with that immediately, but all done very, very gently.
I can remember when he first met Christopher, he smiled. His body language was there. His facial expressions were there. That's where I started building up the confidence that I can trust this guy. I had to trust this man too, not only Christopher.
One of the main things you don't want to do is put words in the child's mouth. You want to talk to the children and make your notes on what the children tell you. I sat down with the victim first when I first started the interview and just talked to him, kind of put him at ease, let him know that he was not responsible for what happened to him. A lot of first responders, when they go out, they go in and they get the information for a report. And that's it. That's all they're caring about is getting a report and getting back on the road. Sometimes that can hurt the case and the healing process, I believe. And we don't want to do that.
You want to prosecute this case. You want to get the bad guy. You want to, do everything that you're trained to do. But something as simple and as unseen as ministering to a victim's heart, that's got to come first.
Well, it was on March 3rd, 1989. It'll be a date that will be in my memory forever. A man came into my home, came up from behind me, grabbed me, took me out to the woods behind my house where he robbed and repeatedly raped me.
When it sunk into me what had happened, I was in a state of shock. I'm a police officer. Crimes don't happen to police officers. We protect other people from crimes, and yet here, my own wife was taken out of my own home under my very nose, and it was a shock.
The only thing that I wanted to do was to take a shower. I wanted to try to wash everything away. I wasn't interested in preserving evidence.
I felt guilty not only as a police officer not protecting my wife, but I felt guilty that I put her through the evidence collection part. And I knew it was the right thing to do, but it didn't make it any easier to have to put her through that aspect of it.
I'm taken to a room where I then have 3 different nurses and a doctor coming at me with questions because each of them are trying to get a little bit different information for the part of my case that they're working on. And I remember that, they'd come in and out, and I kept thinking, they don't believe me. In my mind's eye, they were going outside. One would come in and ask me a question. They were going outside and telling, the others the answer, and then say, okay, you go in and ask her this and see if she comes up with the same answer. Ask her this way. And, that's not what they were doing, but that was the impression I got, and I thought, nope,